Okay, we're going to talk about a place that most people have never heard of, but it has this quiet, unbelievably powerful grip on your everyday life. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. And honestly, understanding it is one of the keys to understanding our modern world.
Right, so it probably just looks like some distant spot on a map. But the real question, the one we're diving into, is how does this one little stretch of water directly impact your wallet? The answer is, well, it's pretty surprising.
Think about your day-to-day. It all starts with the fuel that gets you to work.
Then there's the power that lights up your home, that charges your phone, and yeah, even the price you pay for groceries at the store. Every single one of these things is connected back to this one critical place. So, let's get our bearings here. What exactly is this waterway, and why is it so incredibly important?
Here it is. The Strait of Hormuz is, for all intents and purposes, a bottleneck. It is the only way for ships to get from the super resource-rich Persian Gulf out to the rest of the world. Geographically, you can see it's just wedged right there between Iran and Oman.
And get this, at its narrowest point, the shipping lane is just 33 kilometers wide. That's about 21 miles. That is an incredibly tight squeeze, especially when you think about the insane amount of global traffic that has to get through there every single day.
This narrow little channel is nothing less than a global economic lifeline. And when you actually look at the numbers, they're just staggering.
Let's just start with the biggest one, oil. About 20%, a full fifth, of the entire planet's daily oil supply passes right through this strait, every single day. To really put that into perspective, just kind of look around you. For every 5 cars, planes, and factories being fueled right now, one of them is running on oil that had to navigate this tiny choke point. That's the kind of scale we're talking about here. And you know what? It's not just oil. The strait is just as critical for natural gas. Around 20% of the world's liquefied natural gas, or LNG, also makes this exact same journey. That's what's powering electricity grids all across Asia and Europe.
So we have this vital, yet incredibly narrow corridor. And this is where the story gets complicated, because this choke point is under immense and, frankly, growing pressure.
The safe passage for the hundreds of ships that use this strait isn't a given. It's not guaranteed at all. It's actually a really fragile process, and it's highly, highly vulnerable to disruption. And those disruptions, they can come from multiple sources. We're talking about persistent regional tensions, things like drone attacks, or even the seizure of commercial ships, and just a general increase in military activity in this very, very confined space. And listen, this isn't some hypothetical what-if scenario we're mapping out. These pressures are a current reality. This friction is already impacting how ships navigate the route, and that's adding risk and uncertainty to the entire global supply chain. So, how does tension in a narrow strait in the Middle East actually ripple outwards until it eventually hits your bank account? Let's trace that effect.
Okay, here's how the chain reaction usually works. First, tensions in the region go up. That immediately makes shipping through the strait riskier. So what happens next? Well, costs like insurance premiums spike through the roof. Then, global supply chains tighten up because goods are delayed or have to be rerouted. And the final step? All those new costs, they get passed right down the line and prices rise for you, for everyone.
Now we've talked about oil and gas, and that connection is pretty easy to see. But the impact of the strait goes deeper, into an area you might not expect at all.
What if I told you that instability in the Strait of Hormuz could directly affect the cost of the food on your table?
Here's the hidden link: fertilizer. Massive quantities of the key ingredients for agricultural fertilizers are shipped right through this corridor. So when that supply is delayed or becomes more expensive, it can quietly drive up the cost of growing crops thousands of miles away. And that, in turn, raises food prices.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. We've traced the global journey of all these resources. Now let's focus on the final destination: your wallet. At the end of the day, this is the bottom line. The pressure in the Strait of Hormuz doesn't just stay there. It translates directly into higher prices at the gas station, a more expensive bill at the grocery store, and just a general across-the-board increase in the cost of living for pretty much everyone.
You know, there's a quote that really just says it all. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a geopolitical hotspot, it's a lifeline to the global economy. We tend to think of it in terms of military strategy, but its true power, its real influence, is economic. And the key thing to remember, the takeaway from all this, is that lifeline, which so quietly supports so much of our modern world, is way more fragile than we think. And right now,
It is being tested.